And welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. I'm your host, Tim Deal Double G. And I'm joined by the man behind the sound effects at Agent_70 on Twitter.
So glad to have the sound effects back.
And we also have at PCN_Dirt on Twitter.
Hi. Oh, I get no cheers?
No.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. It feels weird that we don't have our intro video. We got to do some sort of like. Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
That's right.
And then pretend that's our intro.
Gotten a lot. You know what? We've gotten a lot. At least I've gotten a lot of compliments from people who watch the video and listen to the podcast about our intro music. And I told them that we had someone produce that especially for us.
I like that a lot, actually. I had that on my phone for a while, just as a like notification tone.
So yes, we enjoy all the feedback on the sound effects and our intros.
Yes.
Yeah, don't talk about the show. Don't talk about anything about us. But music, sound effects. Let us know.
Of course.
And make sure to go to our website, thekliqnation.com, where you can find previous episodes of the Comic Book Chronicles and comic book news. On the homepage are links to our social media accounts. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google+. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast by going to iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, and TuneIn Radio. And we are also a part of the Cold Slither Podcast Network. Go to cspn.us, do it today. And while you're on the CSPN, make sure to buy some Comic Book Chronicles merchandise by going to shop.cspn.us. Remember, we record live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you're ever talking comics on social media, use the hashtags Comic Book Chronicles or CBChron to join in the conversation. First book up for review this week is Marvel 2-in-1 number 5. As Ben and Johnny go on their quest to find their missing family and teammates in the Fantastic Four.
Right. And as we saw in the last issue, they have located a set of Reed and Sue who are in a universe where things vary very differently from what we know in the 616, or at least the Marvel Prime universe, where the central events of the coming of Galactus change drastically in this particular timeline.
Also, the Reed and Sue in this timeline remind me a lot of the Ultimate FF in the early days. And especially when you see Reed in this universe with his beard, when he's some of the times in the Ultimate Universe when he gets stuck on like he found the portal to the Marvel Zombies universe and that kind of stuff, you'd see him get lost in his own little universes. But even better than all of that, we got Herbie making an appearance in this issue. And I mean, that for me is just worth the price of admission.
We definitely did see Herbie.
So refresh my memory, did Greg Land launch that Ultimate FF book?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I could just I can see the images now like flowing in my head, the sort of statuesque images. Good times. But thankfully we have good art here with Valerio Schiti, who I hope, so it was announced that he'll be going to Tony Stark Iron Man with upcoming Fantastic Four writer Dan Slott. I'm hoping that Frank Martin joins him on coloring because his I feel like the color work that Frank Martin provides for Valerio's lines in 2 and 1 look gorgeous. So I'm hoping that continues over on the Iron Man book.
Yeah, it definitely provides, and more, especially with the evolution of what I'm presuming are computer coloring. The depth that some of these colorists give the art is breathtaking.
Mm-hmm. And I also got flashbacks seeing Sue as a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. to Jonathan Hickman's run on Avengers and New Avengers during the Times Run Out time jump, where it was revealed that Sue had actually joined S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's right. That's right. I knew I bumped on that.
Yeah.
When I saw that.
So Doom had stolen. Actually, Doom was able to defeat Galactus, not Reed Richards. Went out into the universe. Initially had promised he would never come to devour Earth, but since he's already eaten everything else in the universe, his hunger lingers. So now he has come back to feast. And Ben has to sort of smack Reed around to get him to behave like the Reed from our universe. Get back in the game, man.
Seriously.
And that I forget her name. Was it Rachel, the woman, that scientist lady that followed Ben and Johnny? She, I guess, went to go visit someone else familiar to her, though we're not shown who that is.
Rachna.
Yeah. Is that her first name?
Yeah.
Okay, Rachna.
See, I almost wondered. I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be her in that universe, or like maybe her sister or something. That I couldn't tell because they're in a hospital bed with all the stuff on them, and it's hard to tell. Are they trying to draw it to look kind of similar, or is that just, you've got so much other stuff going on, that's kind of their go-to face? It's hard to tell.
I think what's funny about that is it's hard to tell who that is in the hospital bed. It does look female. It may in fact be this Rachna character that we've been introduced to, and this is her opposite in this universe. That may become more apparent in the next issue, because I think it's teased as to who that actually is.
Yeah. It also might have been it looked because it did kind of look like a woman. So
yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's definitely female. It's strongly implied that it's female. So
I can always spot a lady.
But yeah, no, there's a couple of really epic battle scenes in this with the coming of Doom Galactus, where his heralds that are a mix of Doombot and Silver Surfers are kind of attacking, and like all the superheroes have become agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they've got kind of variations of their costumes. Some of those designs are pretty cool. And the battle is pretty epic, and it's really the confrontation between, I guess, one of the Doombots and Reed that kind of snaps, that kind of gets the gears turning in this universe's Reed's brain again to try to figure out how to defeat Doom. And guess what? There's another Doom that is part of the story, and that who I'm referring to is what is he now? The Superior Iron Man? I forget.
Yeah, now that you ask, like I just forget. Immortal Iron Man.
I'm just like, oh my god, what do they call him?
They just ended that book. What was it?
Yeah.
No, not Immortal.
To my Iron Man.
Yeah,
the Dr. Doom Iron Man book. What was that?
Oh, Infamous.
Infamous.
I defaulted to Superior because that's what we joke about with all the bad guys turning good. So yeah,
the infamous. The infamous.
The infamous Iron Man. Iron Man has tagged along with Ben and Johnny, and it's a team up you hardly ever see, although it's not the first time between the infamous Iron Man / Doom and this universe's Reed Richards to try to stop the end of this world.
Well, and there's also a great panel of Ben confronting Reed about his inaction and his unwillingness to tackle, the real threat head on. And that was like one of those things, the panel of Thing just clobbering read, and you get to smash on the glass, but of course the glass is the panel. The way it's drawn, it's one of those things that I just sat there and stared at it for a minute because I was like, that is just such an incredibly well done piece of artwork there.
Oh yeah.
And then Silver Surfer and Emma Frost are a couple.
Well, they're both shiny, right? So.
I figured that would be the thing they had in common.
So yeah, that was like out of nowhere.
But he gives Zdarsky credit for coming up with the creative combination there.
So in my notes, I put that Zdarsky is turning me into a Fantastic Four fan. Never thought I'd say that.
You were never a fan before?
I wouldn't say I was a hater. I didn't give them much thought at all. They were all off doing their own thing. I was into the X-Men, Spider-Man at the time, still the case, but now I read, more of the larger Marvel universe. But even like back when they did have a book, I wasn't really, and we had the podcast. Mm-hmm. I used to say, Agent 70 was the big Fantastic Four fan.
Right. I mean, when we started, Hickman was on the FF. And, he was telling lots of big stories. And I think that started to kind of, despite the fact that the book itself ended not long after, it did start, some of the wheels in motion on, for this book kind of becoming something more than what it had been for a long time. They had been off in their own corner for a long time. It's just, telling some good stories, but nothing that really, shook the earth. The what comes to mind really is the Mark Waid and Mike Wieringo stories that were really, some of the best parts of the FF history, in recent history. And other than that, there really wasn't all that much to talk about until, Hickman came along and kind of wove them into Secret Wars. And just before that really made, the death of Johnny Storm like a big thing, even though it wasn't permanent, and, going from there.
All right. I think that about wraps up 2 and 1.
Yeah, it's good. I think the only thing I wrote is that hold on. It's a precursor because we know that now that we've kind of spoiled the fact that the FF are going to be reunited, this is a nice precursor to the eventual reunion because of the fact that they are reunited with a form or versions of Reed and Sue in this, and it's kind of cool to see. I guess we may be seeing this particular storyline play out a couple of times before they're reunited with our Reed and Sue.
Well, and now what really interests me more than anything else really is that we know a Fantastic Four book is coming in a few months.
Right.
So this story has got to get somewhere where Ben and Johnny are going to be back with Reed and Sue.
Right.
So they're going to find them somewhere at this. I'm just wondering, is Marvel 2 and 1 going to be over at that point, or are they going to be running 2 books side by side? Or is it going to go,
they announced that this is going to continue.
Well, yeah, but I mean, is it going to continue as a Spider-Man team up, or or just random?
I think it should be a Doom whoever book.
Well, I was going to say 2 and 1 is traditionally a Thing team up book, right?
Tradition has nothing to do with the new Marvel universe.
That being said, they may continue doing it not with just a Thing, but maybe it'll be Ben and Johnny, and then whoever else comes along. That might be interesting.
Maybe.
Thank you, at Matt Wang 97 for rubbing in the fact that he's in Miami right now.
MIA.
Oh, and I want to thank Matt Wang for sharing a picture of the two of you guys from high school on Twitter the other day. That was something special. I wish I should have downloaded it so I could pop it up on the screen here right now. But
no, that's too funny. I was trying. We were both kind of trying to figure out where that had been taken because we got that from a mutual friend. I'm trying to figure out what year that was exactly. That's hysterical. Anyway, moving right along. Hey, President Bartlett.
What's next?
Since we were talking about it before the show, what about Spider-Man number 239?
Sure.
So this ties slightly to Bendis's final run on Invincible Iron Man, in that we find out who the Sinister Six's benefactor is. Also, the person that hired the Iron Spider, aka Miles Morales' uncle Aaron, to steal the Shield helicarrier. And it's none other than, speaking of Doctor Doom, the new ruler of Latveria, Lucia von Barda, I think her name is, who also fought Ironheart sort of not early, but not too long ago in Invincible Iron Man, before the search for Tony Stark. That was kind of cool. And Miles also realizes he needs help, so he brings in his Champions teammates to make it a fair fight against the Sinister Six. And Miles is also a Batman fan, apparently.
I only read this issue. I was going to kind of put it off because I hadn't read the issue before, but thanks to PCN_Dirt sending us all a panel teasing what happened in this issue. I had to go back and read 2 issues to catch up. So thanks, Dirt. But I appreciate it because this was a good read.
One thing that really sticks out to me, though, in this book as I'm reading through it is, the art has changed in the last year. I forget who it was that was on the book before, but it was always so beautiful. Marquez, yeah. And it was always so beautiful. And the person they have on it now, I don't remember. Actually, I think I have it sitting over here, don't I?
Oscar Balazuda, I think.
Basil. He it's close, but it's not quite the same level of detail. Correct. Like, it's just it if you're not paying attention, like if he were to come in and do one panel on a Marquez page, you might not notice. But doing the whole book, it's like things are just not quite, to that 10 out of 10 level of art. It's like a 8 out of 10, 7.5 on some pages, maybe. And so it's like, it just kind of bothers me a little bit because it's so close enough that it's a little bit different. It's almost like the Uncanny Valley with CGI, human characters. It's like, these are not quite right, and it's not a different enough style that it just stands out as being different and kind of weird. I don't know. It's just one of the more awkward things about reading through it. I still like the story.
Yeah, sure. I agree with you on that.
But the art is just not quite to that same level.
What's funny is that in this issue, who's the colorist? I already scrolled all the way down. But the colorist in this issue provides the depth that we're all used to. Brian Reber, color artist, and Reber provides Basil Dua's art with depth, but I think the depth would be lacking if it was just black and white. Just straight up inked pages. It would not look like it was that it had any depth or had any kind of 3D depth. Just any kind of effect of kind of a finished product. It would look very 2D and flat.
Well, and that's a lot of Marvel books nowadays. The colorist adds so much. Their coloring process is completely different than I think just about anyone else. And it adds such another level to a lot of the art. And in some ways, I think there are some artists that back off a little bit from doing a lot of backgrounds and some of that detail because they know the colorist is going to come in and fill it in. I remember someone was showing some panels of Ethan Van Sciver, some books he had done, and people are in a library and there's rows and rows of books, and you look at the bookshelves and he's drawn every single book on the bookshelves. Like, he literally drew like 1,000, edges of books on these bookshelves because, he said, I don't know any shortcuts. Like, I don't know a way to cheat. Like, if you have to draw 1,000 bricks on the side of a building, I just draw 1,000 bricks. But there's so many artists nowadays that I think when it comes to doing backgrounds or some type of texture like that, something's going to be brick or there's going to be a forest in the background. They just they'll do like an outline, and they know the colorist is going to come in and add a lot of that detail and a lot of that stuff in the background. And in some cases, it works out really well. In some cases, though, it looks like you've got someone with a stamper just coming in and adding the texture and stuff to the background, especially city scenes where you can tell that the way the panels are, there's no backgrounds in any of the panels.
Right.
So like the one at the very top will be left open to kind of give it that dramatic look, but then you can see in all the others that it's just kind of like stamped in the background on all of them. So I don't know. It's like with the right artist, with the right colorist and the right, team working together, it really pops and it looks really good. In other places, it just really looks like a crutch for someone who's got a deadline.
Right. I was about to say, to your point, or at least maybe to add to that, I was actually referring more to some of the facial, some of the and some of the figures where it might have used just a little bit of cross hatching or a little bit of extra line work, and you would have, a much more finely detailed piece of work that the colorist would be, embellishing and adding to, as opposed to kind of really being the only person creating any sort of depth to the figure picture. So, but anyway, all our nitpicking aside on the art, the story is good.
And these are nitpicks. Like I'm in no way am I saying this art looks terrible. Like you're not going to pick it up and be like, this looks like garbage and throw it aside or anything like that. Like it's still, professionally done, but like I said, it's just close enough to Marquez, but not quite to that level that it just really stands out as being different. But Ned, you got to mention in this issue again as well.
Yeah, seriously, Ned or Gonki. Like he even says, some people have trouble pronouncing it. So shout out to Gonki/Ned.
Let's see. What do we want to jump to next?
By the way, before we finish up on Spider-Man, how many more issues are left in that?
1.
So 240 is the last issue?
Yes.
Okay.
And then what?
We wait to hear what Marvel's plans are.
Huh.
Yeah. Did you read 238, Dirt?
Yeah, I've been reading this all along.
Right. So that there's a tease that Miles is, might end up working for a super secret spy organization that a particular one-eyed hero is maybe in charge of. It may not be the one-eyed hero we're thinking of.
Well, and they've also been pushing a lot for the past maybe 6 issues or so that, maybe you shouldn't be Spider-Man. Spider-Man was somebody else and he died, but now he's back. And, maybe you should be your own character or whatever. I just hope he does not steal his uncle's outfit and become the new Iron Spider.
I did write an article about just kind of throwing a dart at the wall, but because since Cable is the one that confronted Miles' dad about Miles's potential future in the world of espionage, like some type of new X-Force spy team with Miles as a part of it. Never know. S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone, so he can't join S.H.I.E.L.D.
But is S.H.I.E.L.D. really gone?
Is it ever really gone, right?
Well, the TV show probably won't be renewed, and
yeah, but isn't S.H.I.E.L.D. going to be like Hydra? Where there's always a cell somewhere that's always they're still working. They didn't get the memo. They're still fighting the good fight, and
they'll probably decommission.
They'll save somebody's life, and then they get their funding back, and whatever.
Yeah, that's generally how that works. All right. All right. So is there anything else we all read in common before we start moving around?
I see me and you read a lot of the same books. I want to hear some of Doug's DC.
Yes, please.
Or at least 1 or 2 that he feels like throwing out right now.
What about Batman?
Oh, okay, fine. Let's talk Batman.
I have an issue with Batman.
I thought it was okay, but as we were saying earlier, my notes pretty much tell the story of this issue, which is, Catwoman shops for her wedding dress in her own inimitable way. But in my eyes, it really should have been a backup story, not a lead story in the book.
I mean, all the criticisms I've had for the last year are the same, where, it took me 2 minutes to read through the book. There was a lot of stuff in there that you could do in one panel, and he does in 2 pages. There's a lot of flashback stuff to a bunch of different costumes through time. So people go, oh, look, they're using that. That's back in canon. So, I mean, that's kind of cool and interesting, whatever. But at the same time, I still get to the end of it and I'm like, what happened? Like, who cares? Like, what?
Smiling,
and it's like and this is the thing that just destroys me. She and Bruce are sleeping in a bed. She gets up, she puts on her suit, she jumps out the window, goes on this adventure, comes home, sees Alfred, gives him a little wink, crawls back into bed, and Batman didn't wake up. At no point did he go, oh, holy crap, Catwoman's gone. Maybe she got kidnapped. I better go track her down. Somehow, this master detective who spent his entire life seeing the smallest details and things, and someone is breaking into the Batcave and he can hear it on the 3rd floor of Wayne Manor. She gets up and is out of bed for like 4 hours, and at no point does he like roll over and realize she's gone or anything like that. It's just,
he was the only bear in the bed and never said, "I'm lonely."
I mean, there's so much about the storyline that I just don't like from a character standpoint. And I tweeted out something today about how I know eventually it's all going to be rebooted. At some point, DC Universe always resets every so often, and things get swept away and whatever. And I'm actually now kind of looking forward to it. Like, I'm now waiting for the next Universal reset because I'm kind of tired of this character. Like, I'm done with the wedding. I'm done with the Catwoman thing. I'm ready to go back to the samurai warrior fighting that lonely fight on the edge of sanity. I'm not ready for the guy who's coming home from a hard day's work and waiting for dinner to be on the table, and of course it's never going to work out that way. But just the way that
he was always like that because Alfred was the one putting dinner on the table,
but he never wanted it. It was like, I'll just eat an apple. I'm good. I'm going back out there. But no, there's just something about it that just
it doesn't.
I've said it before. Tom King just doesn't understand the character of Batman. He doesn't understand the oath of giving everything you have to this lifetime of battle, the same way like a monk or like I said earlier, a samurai warrior or one of these people would. You get rid of everything on that social level because everything's about the mission, and you just give 100% to it. And he's saying, we're going to get rid of that, and now we're making it as this guy who's trying to struggle being the superhero and having this normal life. And it's just like, ugh.
I would argue that it's unfortunately a logical extension of where the Bat books have been going because of the family extensions.
Well, yeah, but that's
because there was always a family looking for a matriarch.
I was never a big fan of well, no, that was still him, right? No, that was Snyder. I was never a big fan of Snyder's stuff 100% either. The way he was doing the death of the family and those storylines. I was never real keen on those either.
But that existed long before even Snyder. I think Snyder,
Well, yeah, okay, you can go back to 1960s and be like, there's Batman smiling.
No, I would say
playing a game of baseball with Bat Boy Jr. or whatever his name was.
No, I would say that it started with Morrison. Like he's the one that really started the whole Bat family thing. And when they brought back whatchamacallit, what's his face? Jason Todd.
Yeah, well, and honestly, during that time period, I wasn't buying a lot of comics.
Yeah.
I had little kids at that point. You can't afford comics when you got little kids. So I didn't buy a lot of stuff during that time period. So I've just kind of caught up in bits and pieces of it here and there. But, I kind of have this, like, we bought the house in the early 2000s until the kids were old enough and, our lives had moved on enough I could afford comics again.
Sure. Yeah, so it's like a blind spot in your like history of the character. And I think this is just my observation is that they're making him a family man because of this Bat family, and he was always they were looking for the mother figure, the matriarch. So they're sticking Catwoman in. And while I agree, it's probably a logical conclusion, I tend to be in your camp, which is, hey, you know, this isn't Batman. This isn't, you know, like the never-ending fight against crime, because it's always going to be somebody new and crazy, and the Joker's always going to find a way to get out of Arkham because Batman kill him. So that's just kind of like the way the story goes. You know, he was always the billionaire playboy like Tony Stark, you know?
Well, and you know, things always change.
Right.
Writers always bring in different stuff. You know, Batman has had different voices over the years, so you know, you can't get too bogged down in what is Batman and what isn't Batman. But it's just one of those things where it's at right now, I'm just not a big fan.
Gotcha. Alrighty.
I will say I do like that King has taken Batman in a different direction than what Snyder's done, just because you need, which, you know, after a long run like Snyder has had, you definitely need something at least a little different, where it just feels like you're doing the same territory over and over again.
Well, and I liked the Gotham and Gotham Girl stuff that was in the early arc. I thought that was really interesting about this idea of a possible replacement, so he could end his, you know, war, to wind things down and retire, because you've got basically a Superman of Gotham City that could take his place. And, you know, that was kind of an interesting way of dealing with it. But now it feels like we've gotten so far beyond that, where it's like, oh, well, you know, I'm just going to have Nightwing take over things because I'm getting married and having kids now, you know, and it's just like, not what I want.
Yeah, it's been teasing up to this moment, especially after he met his dad in the was it the Button crossover with the Flash?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep,
there it is.
All right.
It is what it is. Time to move on.
All right, so we covered Batman. So you got some more DC stuff there? You want to trade?
I'll save Superman for rapid fire later on, because I don't have a whole lot to say about that. But Curse of Brimstone #1 came out this week, and this is another of that new universe of DC heroes. It's from Justin Jordan, who's a writer I really liked. He's done stuff. God, what was that one? No, I can't remember. John Flood, I think, is what it was called. It was kind of like a Sherlock Holmes type character, modern day United States, that I really liked. He did one called Deep State, which was basically the opposite of the X-Files. This is the government team that comes in and covers everything up, wipes people's memories. So that was a lot of fun. So I've liked a lot of his stuff. This book, basically, the whole story is, it's a small town in the middle of nowhere. Everything's kind of crumbling. Everybody's moved off. It's really getting isolated and desolate, and there's just not a lot left to it. Kind of that, you know, Rust Belt of America. You know, the coal mines, you know, closed up. The factories moved away. So there's not a lot of hope and not a lot of you know, positive outlook there. And there's some stranger that comes to make this kid an offer. Who's, you know, he'll fix everything. He'll give you everything you desire. He'll make every wish come true. And of course, he agrees to it, and it looks like the whole world catches on fire. So I'm guessing this is going to kind of be like the way we've seen some of the other characters of the new age of DC heroes play off of other characters. Like Damage really feels like the Hulk, you know. Silencer in many ways feels like the Punisher with a lot of stuff. This, I'm guessing, is going to be their version of Ghost Rider. There's fire, there's possibly hellfire, the devil,
Brimstone, of course.
right? But one thing that really blew me away is the artwork. And this is Philip Tan. I think it's Philip Tan doing the artwork and co-writing this. The artwork just has this really good gritty feel to it. It just has that really nice, like over inking style, but it's the over inking in the way that really adds texture and depth in the way that the artwork is, plus the coloring on top of it. So the coloring almost comes across as, you know, like oil painting, adding the extra color and depth and light, you know, to it. But the artwork itself in black and white looks like it's also just fantastic right there on its own. So this is a book that looks gorgeous. You know, there are a lot of times that, you know, I was just staring at the artwork and just looking at how pretty it was. But the story has enough of an intrigue. The first issue, for it being the number one, really takes a while to get where it's going. It does a good job of really playing out the environment that they're in, what life is like there, what the people are like. You really get the feel of that area, but it really doesn't get the story going until right towards the end, which I think may be the one downfall, because you kind of get this glimpse of what's happening and then the story's over. I kind of wish there was a little more of a hook there, just a little more detail to grab people and pull them into issue 2. But it was good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought I was going to hate all of these new books from the DC universe, but I've been really digging these, and this one's good too. So I recommend it to anybody who wants to try something new. Give a new character a shot. All of these books have been great. The Terrifics have been really good. Damage has been good. Sideways has been good. Silencer's been good. So I'm just adding this to the list. It looks really good. Now, who knows how long it'll last? If they switch writers or artists, how much of a difference that'll make down the line. But for right now, every one of these books seems really well done.
Nice. Glad I'm thankful for the recommendation. I'm flipping through it now, our preview copy. So I think I'm going to give this a read over the weekend.
I think that's it for DC.
Let's see, do I have one more I want to get to? You
want to talk Amazing?
Yeah, we can do that. So we get the final fight between Green Goblin and Spider-Man, and the first fight between Spider-Man and Red Goblin. So basically, the Green Goblin breaks into the Daily Bugle, demands Spider-Man meet him. Peter goes to get Spider-Man, who, of course, he returns in his Spider-Man gear. They fight. The tritium that the Hobgoblin stole a couple of issues ago blows up, and then the wreckage of the explosion, which basically blows up the Daily Bugle, at least the top floor of it, assuming they rent out the top floor of that building, or if they just own the whole entire building. It looks like Green Goblin's injured and is about to die, but that's not blood coming out of him. That's red symbiote.
Yep, that was a big, that was a nice twist on kind of the reveal of the final form of the what I'm calling, what did I call him? Carnagoblin. I'm sorry, guys. That's the best I could come up with. So there's a couple things that are teased in this issue. One, and we kind of, it's a bit of a slow play by Slott, where Peter Parker is like, well, nothing's gonna happen. I don't sense any danger. And then the Green Goblin comes bursting through, whereas normally he would sense that, but because of Carnagoblin becoming a reality, there's a reason why the Green Goblin at this point hadn't or was not setting off his spider sense, because it was a symbiote. So, there's like a lot of like little things that, that kind of come together in this issue as we are, kind of coming towards Slott's end of his run on Spidey, and this last kind of battle between Norman and Peter Parker. What I liked about this, and fans of the Uncanny X-Men will understand what I'm referring to. You may have to do a little bit of digging into whatchamacallit, Dark Phoenix to remember this, but at the end of this issue, after the Carnagoblin or the Red Goblin kind of hands Peter his butt, we get a moment that is very reminiscent of the moment that Wolverine has after he's gotten the crap kicked out of him by the Hellfire Club at the end of Uncanny X-Men number 132. It's always funny how sometimes you can remember the exact issue numbers. And this is after Wolverine was sent down into the sewers because of, I forget the fat guy's name in the Hellfire Club, the guy that could control gravity. But yeah, he sends him, through the floor, and Wolverine's there, like, okay, suckers, you've taken your best shot. Now it's my turn. It's like it's an iconic panel, and we kind of get a similar feel at the end of this issue. It's like a minor cliffhanger where Peter Parker's like, you know what, I'm coming back now that you kind of, done your, taking your best shot. So I'm gonna have a chance to come back. I really like this final arc. I think it's a really fitting end to Slott's run. I don't know how you're feeling about this, Tim, but I like that. It's something that we've gotten before, the whole symbiote, joining with like another established character. But I kind of like how it's this character that's gotten it. It's Norman Osborn.
Oh, I'm definitely. It is fitting that Slott is ending with probably Peter's biggest villain and threat, Norman. Those you could argue he's elevated Dr. Octopus to that #1 slot, but he's done so much with Otto already, and he said in interviews that he has done a little stuff here and there with Norman Osborn, at least definitely near the end of Superior Spider-Man, that for much of his run, Norman Osborn was off limits because he was tied up in other books, namely Avengers and Dark Avengers and what have you. So you didn't really get to use him as much as he probably would have liked to. But now he's free. He's using them to end his run. And I'm curious to see how it all ends, because Red Goblin gave the ultimatum of, if Peter just hangs up the suit, doesn't swing any webs anywhere or mess with them, he'll leave his loved ones alone, which Peter sort of puts up not a white flag, but a red and blue top suit of his spider outfit to sort of say, I give up. But of course he's not going to. So, but he does tease that he's going to attack Norman as Peter and not Spider-Man. So curious to see how that plays out.
And the reason why Spider-Man's kind of convinced to do that is that Slott comes up with a pretty novel combination of the Green Goblin and the Carnage suit to really injure Spider-Man. I thought that was, when I saw that, I was like, wow, that was actually, a pretty novel idea right there. What he does to the pumpkin bomb.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
I'll be right about that later too.
There you go. All right. So I guess we're probably in rapid fire mode.
Yeah.
All right. So let me pull it up. All right, gentlemen, we are in rapid fire mode. I only have a few books left.
I will do X-Men Gold 25. It basically, all you need to know about this is Storm undergoes a major transformation of the Asgardian variety.
It's not the first time, right?
No, and it definitely came out of nowhere. Wasn't expecting that.
Gotcha.
And Venomized #1, since we're talking Spider-Man villains and whatnot. This is this is the end of the Venom trilogy that Marvel started last year with Venomverse, and then carried over to the X-Men Blue crossover with Venom, Poison X. So the Poisons, the alien race that feeds on the Clintar symbiotes after they've bonded with a superpowered individual, have made their way to our planet Earth now after being in other dimensions. And so they start off going around shooting superheroes with guns loaded with symbiotes. So basically all they do is, first issue is them bonding symbiotes to various superheroes, so they can, I guess, go later in the weekly series, because it's going to run the month of April, every week an issue. So they can then go and feed and turn these new venomed up superheroes into poisons. And so X-Men Blue Team and Venom arrive on Earth too late to warn everyone. So the leader of the poisons is Thanos, alternate dimension Thanos, that is a Venom. And they know from Venomverse that their secret weapon against them is Carnage, because for some reason they can't possess Carnage like they have all the other symbiote wearers. So their first act is to find Carnage, but they find Cleus Cassidy because Carnage is, as we just said, busy over in Amazing Spider-Man.
Right.
And so they go about trying to bond him with one of their symbiotes, and it's not going well because he still has some of the Carnage in his blood. But they're hoping once they rid him of that and turn him into one of their own and get him on the Hive, that he will be the catalyst to help them win this upcoming war. And that is that.
All right. So for rapid fire, I can cover the other books that I have and Roddy Cat's books, who is not able to join us this evening, but he did leave a couple of notes for books that he read this week. So one of the books that we both read was Avengers number 687. This is the latest chapter of Avengers No Surrender. What Roddy says about this book is that Jarvis and Banner wax poetically about Banner's condition and what it means to be a hero and Avenger. I likened it to a pep talk that Jarvis gives Banner, and I really like that. Roddy Cat continues, a pity party commences within the teams. Lightning clearly wasn't around during Civil War II. The Challenger is not appeased, and I guess their Grandmaster is dead. Probably not. Roddy Cat's other book that we'll cover in rapid fire is Black Lightning, Cold Dead Hands number 6. The story ends as it started, a little meta commentary and some good action. And my other book for this week is actually a potential Click of the Week pick. It's a book that I've been hyping and harping on for as long as it's been in existence, and that is Black Bolt. We are up to issue number 12. It is a potential Click of the Week for me. The series is so good and ends on a hopeful note. I definitely need a Lockjaw Marvel Legends figure ASAP, one that's articulated, not like the one that came out in that San Diego Comic-Con exclusive box. This issue wraps up the series nicely. It's nice to know, I guess after the fact, I had thought that Marvel canceled this book, but it turns out that Saladin Ahmed had designed this book to be a 12-issue series. So it's nice that he was able to tell the story, and what a story it is, what a story it was. It convinced me to build the Absorbing Man Marvel Legends figure, the Build-A-Figure, and I tweeted a picture of that and the Black Bolt Marvel Legends earlier, late last night, early this morning, and Ahmed actually retweeted it and liked it. So, glad to give the book some support. So, like I said, in collected form, now that it's over, I think this is even going to read better than it was as a monthly. So, guys, get out there, and ladies and gentlemen, that is, get out there and read Black Bolt.
All right. I just have a few books to cover here. Let's see. Superman 44. There's a base story here that I really like about the Bizarro world is dying. Whether or not Bizarro can be a hero. Bizarro has a son, a super Bizarro kid, whatever. But the problem is it's full of that Bizarro speak. Me me so happy, world not ending, and it's just like, oh my gosh, after a while.
You mean world, me so happy, world keep going, or something?
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah. And it's just like, it's one of those things where it feels like a slog getting through it, because I have to sit there and translate from another language, into the one I read. So that was, but there were some nice moments, some character moments in there with Bizarro and his son and whatever. So that was interesting. But still, I'm glad it's over. Iron Fist 79. This is continuing the Damnation storyline. The original Iron Fist is fighting for his soul. Iron Fist and what's the other guy? Fat Cobra. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Oh. They try to make some sort of deal, but of course, hey, you try to make a deal with the devil, it always blows up in your face. The deal that the original Iron Fist made is blowing up in their face. Somehow, it's like the story's trying to tell you that you make a deal with the devil, and it's going to blow up in your face. Maybe that's just me, but it seems like there might be a lesson to be learned there. I'm not sure. Venom 164. I tried reading this. They said it was start of a new arc. It's the story is going to go in a new direction and blah blah blah. So I tried reading this, but I just could not. The Venom suit now talks to Eddie in a normal voice, like in his head.
Okay.
Even though the symbiote is still on him and still does the thing where it becomes his clothes, but it becomes the suit and whatever. But then they just sit and have a conversation. And so the Venom suit speaks, and it's like a black word balloon. Mm-hmm. But then Brock speaks, it's a normal word balloon, except when Brock's in the Venom suit, then it's a black word balloon with a white circle around it, which makes it really after a while, I just kind of all right, I'm not enjoying this. I'm not going to, this is not the book for me. So I tried it, but no. And I think finally the last book I have here, Sonic #1, came out. For people not in the know of what 13-year-old boys like to read, Sonic is one of those comics that my son absolutely adored for years and years and years. That's the book that actually got him into comics. If it wasn't for Sonic, he wouldn't have ever cared about getting into comics. And then Archie canceled it, because Archie has been having so many financial problems. They couldn't afford the license anymore. There were some lawsuit issues with one of the writers and characters he created and whatever. And so Archie, their push to be less family friendly has also made them less profit. So maybe there's a lesson to be learned there. I don't know. But anyway, this book, they got the same writer, the same artist to come to IDW and do a new Sonic story. And the way it's built is that you don't have to be familiar with that old series. It just takes place at some indeterminate time, kind of down the road. Hey, remember way back when we fought and we beat Mr. Eggman finally? Yeah, now it's all this time later, So you really don't have to know anything about what's going on there. But it plays a lot like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Okay.
And my son absolutely loved it. He's so happy it's back. The characters from the old book, I know that there were just tons. There was a dozen different characters. It was moving around. You get to focus on 2 of them. You get Sonic and Tails. Amy will be showing up in the next issue. Then a couple new characters the issue after that. So they're kind of slowly rebuilding it, but they're not throwing everything at you at once. So again, if you're not real familiar with it, or if you're looking for something for your kids, it's something that you can just buy and throw out there. They don't have to be familiar with the old one. They can just kind of pick this up and carry it. And it's got that Saturday morning cartoon. Giant robots are coming. They're fighting them and blowing up, and all that stuff's kind of fun. So there you go. That's what I have for all of my rapid fire reviews there.
Gotcha. All right. So I guess we're up to clicks of the week.
Oh, it's tough.
Yeah, I'm in between 2 books. Nice.
There's mine right there. You can see it.
I think that's mine too.
Nice. Oh man, see, honestly, guys, I wish I could make it a clean sweep. I don't know if Roddy put up a click of the week this week.
Let's see.
Nope. So, oh man, see now for those of you not watching on video, PCN_Dirt put up Marvel 2-in-1 #5 by Chip Zdarsky and Valeria Schiti. Tim Dog 98 seconded that motion. I, on the other hand, as much as I love that book, I think my 2 potential, the 2 finalists for Click of the Week for myself were Amazing Spider-Man #798 and Black Bolt #12. And I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to go with Black Bolt #12 for myself. Click of the Week this week. So
all right. And it is 10 after 9, which means my time is up.
All right.
I even gave you a few extra minutes there so we could get through all of this. So
get through the clicks. Thanks
for having me, guys. I'll see you guys all next week.
Take it easy.
Bye.
See you next week.
Alrighty, so let me get our first ad read in for the night, and then we can start with the news. Help keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, etc. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today. And now we head for the news.
All right. In cinematic news, Katie Lotz to return for Arrow Season 6 finale. Gotham introduces a major status quo change for Barbara Gordon. I'm assuming that's the Barbara we're referring to. Willa Holland, it's at CW's Arrow. That's Thea, aka Speedy.
Okay.
Stephen Amell says Black Lightning will probably join the Arrowverse.
Yeah, I think it should.
Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum want a Smallville animated revival.
No kidding.
Yeah, that went up today, I saw.
In animated form. That's, like, I don't blame them for, because obviously they aged somewhat from how they looked on the series. But yeah, as an animated series, that's interesting.
That is, it's probably, be easier for them to lend their voice talent.
Sure.
In the studio than having to appear constantly on screen.
Right. And Michael Rosenbaum's no stranger to voice work. He was, after all, the Flash on the Justice League.
Captain Marvel cast Don Wickett 90s does the new set photos. That's hard.
It's it must be like a time thing, because the movie is in fact set in the 90s. So yeah, they're wearing 90s clothes. So I did see some of those pictures. Kind of, it was a flashback for me.
There were new IMAX Avengers Infinity War posters released, or at least one. And then there were individual posters released yesterday, I saw.
Right.
Black Panther to break Saudi Arabia's 35-year cinema ban.
What?
It's becoming the first film to screen to the public in a movie theater in the country since it lifted a 35-year cinema ban. Wow. Look at Black Panther breaking records and breaking whatever bans.
Barriers, yeah.
Barriers is what I was looking for.
Holy cow.
Luke Cage reunites with Iron Fist in new season 2 image.
I guess this may be the only way we see Iron Fist at all. It's not Defenders. It's going to be in the Luke Cage series because I don't think he's going to have his own.
The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina creator shares our first look at Kiernan Shipka as the teenage witch.
Okay.
Red Sonja film reboot taps Thor X-Men First Class Writer. And FX starts working a pilot for Why the Last Man.
Did that drop like today?
Yeah, that news was this afternoon.
Cool.
I still need to read Why the Last Man.
I read most of it. I don't know if I finished it. I
had the first trade of it, or volume. I'm assuming there was multiple volumes. But I had the first one.
Series, I believe.
All right, so...
Comic
news. Let's see. The Power Rangers comic big new event is off to a bloody crazy start, where there was some big reveal for Shattered Grid. I still haven't. I probably need to flip through that and see what all the hubbub is about.
I unfortunately, unlike I think Roddy's kind of into Power Rangers. I know William Bruce West is, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, I didn't come up with Power Rangers, so I don't get what all the hubbub is.
I mean, I watched it, but I wasn't like crazy, oh my gosh, about it at the time.
Alrighty. So the next story is toy related. So Hasbro is officially producing its largest Star Wars toy ever. It is Jabba the Hutt sail barge. They actually crowdfunded this to make sure, to see that that there was enough demand for it. To see if there was going to be enough demand for it, and there was. So they covered the crowdfunding part of it, and the sail barge is over 2 feet long. It's probably closer to scale than we would ever think. So it's pretty crazy. Star Wars toys have never, gotten all that big. I think the biggest ones were always the Millennium Falcon and the AT-ATs. So, it seems crazy that this would be the biggest toy that they've made, but it is. So it's pretty cool. Congratulations to them for making this. Was it 6,000 people pledged $500? Wow. 5,000 people.
And the news that aggravated me just because I had to wait till September.
Yes.
SpiderMan for the PS4 comes out September 7th.
Yes, that's a long wait. But let me tell you, I've been harping on trying to crowdfund my own PS4 for a while, and I never did get one. I wanted to get one for Marvel vs. Capcom, the latest one for PS4, but I heard bad things, not the greatest things about the game. At some point, I'll get it, but I guess I've got until September or Christmas this year to pick up a PS4 and play the Spider-Man game that we're excited for.
The original X-Men are headed to extermination, which we'll find out more about this weekend during C2E2.
Oh, forgot to ask PCN_Dirt if he's headed to C2E2 this year. Did he say already?
I doubt he is, because I don't think he went last year.
Right. And he's not connected to the store, so gotcha.
And plus it's like, he's not in Chicago. It's like however long a drive.
Right.
All right. All new Wolverine heads to the future, and the president is a very familiar face. So that's talking about this week's all new Wolverine. Bruce Banner struggles with his immortality and Hulk's lack of morality. The Avengers are 1 million BC to receive origin issues starting with the Ghost Rider.
No kidding.
The Mastodon riding Ghost Rider. Right. The heroes of the Valiant Universe clash in this first look inside Harbinger Wars 2. Batman White Knight adds a whole new wrinkle to the Joker persona.
I'm gonna have to catch up on this because I've heard some good things about Sean Gordon Murphy's Batman White Knight.
Yeah, I do too. DC Nation number 0 lands 1 million orders. Action Comics 1,500,000 copies or orders, I guess. Alex Ross describes the difference between DC and Marvel heroes.
Did you read this?
I did not. Well, actually, I did. I read the quotes. It was very long.
I thought he was right, though.
Yeah, he broke it down, and that's basically why I enjoy Marvel more than DC. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. So
yeah. And Krispy Kreme introduces a Simpsons donut for a limited time.
Go! we couldn't help it. We couldn't help it.
And that's it for comic news.
All right. So, I'm going to wrap up this show with our last ad read for the night, and it's for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron has fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now, the listeners of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today.
And follow us on our individual Twitter accounts. I'm at TimDOGG98 and at CBCron. Agent 70 is at Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. Doug is at PCN_dirt and popculturenetwork.com is his website. And Roddy Cat is at Roddy Cat and at News Nerds Need on Twitter. And follow him on Instagram at CBCaps. We will be back next week with more comic book news and discussion and reviews.
Yes, and we are counting down now to Infinity War.
Cannot wait. We are the Comic Book Chronicles, and we are signing off.
Peace!